Imagine an AI that doesn't just, follow your commands, but truly gets what you need by asking exactly the right questions at the right time. That's the fascinating leap we're diving into today. Welcome to the deep dive. We unpack complex ideas, distill cutting-edge research, and basically give you the important insights. You get to be well-informed minus the information overload. Our deep dive today looks at some really cool work called BED-LLM, Intelligent Information Gathering with LLMs and Bayesian Experimental Design. This comes from a team over at University of Oxford, Apple, and City University of Hong Kong. Quite the lineup. So here's our mission for you today. Now, at the end of this, you'll get why current LLMs, well, they sometimes stumble with smart questioning, and how this new approach, BED-LLM, fixes that big time. Plus, what it all means for how you'll interact with AI down the road. Think more natural, more effective conversations. Okay, let's unpack this. We've all seen what LLMs can do, generate text, answer questions, even get creative. They feel pretty smart. But there's this key piece of interactive smarts where they often fall short, especially mid-conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting. Modern LLMs can actually generate a pretty decent question, in a one-off situation. But the real challenge is adapting. They struggle to tailor the next question based on what you just told them. It's like they don't really learn as the conversation goes on. Not effectively, anyway.
Right, which must get frustrating fast. I bet a lot of listeners have bumped into that. Can you give us an example? Where does this really show up? Something from the paper, maybe?
Definitely. Think about 20 questions. The game.
Sure.
A good human player, they use every yes or no to really narrow things down, right?
Yeah.
Well, current LLMs often don't do that well. They might ask if it's an animal, you say yes, and then their next question is is it a laptop? Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't build on the yes at all.
Exactly. Or imagine trying to fix an IT problem with a chatbot. If it asks for your operating system after you've already told it, or suggests stuff you've already said doesn't work, ugh, it's just inefficient. Makes you feel like it's not listening.
Yeah, completely. So it's not just about asking a question, but asking the best question right now to get closer to the goal. Feels like there's a real need for AI that can actively, intelligently seek out information, adaptively. And that's where BED-LLM comes in.
Precisely. BED-LLM. It stands for Bayesian Experimental Design with Large Language Models. It's a more principled, kind of general-purpose way to tackle this. It uses this framework, Bayesian Experimental Design, or BED, to help the LLM pick questions, specifically questions that maximize something called expected information gain, EIG.
Okay, expected information gain, EIG. Sounds a bit technical. How should we think about that? What's the core idea?
Think of it like a detective trying to solve a case. A good detective asks the question that they think will give them the most valuable new clue, right? EIG is basically a way to quantify that. How much new, useful information is a question likely to give us? It's all about cutting down the LLM's uncertainty about whatever it's trying to figure out. It could be what movie you like, the answer to a riddle, anything. It's always asking, what's the most valuable question I can ask next?
Gotcha. So it's strategic questioning. And this isn't just theory, right? This has real-world uses.
Oh, absolutely. This kind of capability is crucial for so many things. Imagine medical diagnostic assistants asking really precise questions to figure out what's wrong. Or AI tutors that adapt questions based on where you're struggling. Targeted code generation, where the AI asks clarifying questions first. Automating surveys that don't waste your time. Even AI helping with scientific research or market analysis. It's a big step towards AI that's genuinely helpful.
So we see the problem, and BED-LLM sounds like a really smart solution using this EIG idea. Purposeful curiosity, you could say. But how does it work? The paper talks about some specific innovations, right? Not just tweaks, but fundamental shifts. Let's dig into those. What makes BED-LLM tick?
Right. A key question is, how do you even measure if a question is good or informative? Some older approaches try to simplify this. They often use something called marginal predictive entropy. Basically, it measures how unsure the LLM is about the answer it might get back. If the answer could be anything, predictive entropy is high. So the thinking goes, maybe it's a good question to ask.
Okay, that seems logical on the surface. If I have no clue what you'll say, asking seems like a good idea. Get some new info.
But, and this is crucial, that logic has a flaw. Predictive entropy alone isn't enough. The paper has this great example, figure 1. Imagine the LLM trying to figure out your movie preferences.
Okay.
It could ask, which ice cream flavor feels like the best match for this user? Now, the predictive entropy for that might be super high. Who used the answer, right?
Yeah, no idea what Rocky Road says about my taste in film noir.
Right.
Unless, maybe something.
Probably not, and that's the point. The answer gives you zero insight into film preferences. So its EIG, its expected information gain about the goal, is zero.
Ah, I see.
But a question like, Which film genre does the user prefer? That could also have high predictive entropy and high EIG, because the answer directly tells you something useful about the goal movie taste.
So it's not just about asking something unpredictable. The answer have to actually matter for what you're trying to figure out. It needs to move the needle.
Exactly. That's the key difference. Purposeful curiosity, like you said. BED-LLM uses a carefully designed EIG estimator. It avoids that trap. It focuses on reducing uncertainty about the target, ensuring questions have real informational value. That's a huge step.
Okay, that makes sense. So it picks better questions. What about learning from the answers? How does it update its understanding? We usually just feed the chat history back in, right?
Yeah.
In context learning. But you mentioned LLMs struggle with that sometimes. They do, surprisingly. The research shows even big advanced models aren't great at fully using the conversation history. They tend to over-collapse, jump to conclusions too quickly. Or they might generate ideas that actually contradict what you told them earlier, especially with longer conversations.
Like a detective who fixates on one theory and ignores new evidence.
Kind of, yeah. Cognitive inflexibility, maybe. It's a real
So
barrier.
how does BED-LLM handle that, keeping track of things better?
It uses this strategy called sample then filter. First, the LLM generates a bunch of different possible answers or hypotheses about the target, a diverse pool.
Okay.
Then, and this is the clever part, it filters out any of those hypotheses that don't fit with the actual question-answer history it's seen so far. This keeps its internal belief state much more consistent and robust. It stops it from getting stuck on wrong ideas.
Like a careful assistant who double-checks everything against the facts, listens, and verifies. That sounds much more reliable.
It is. And connecting this to the bigger picture, there's a design choice in how you set up the LLM's internal model, how it relates the target info, what it wants to learn, to the possible answers it gets. The paper mentions two ways: prior likelihood pairing or data estimation pairing. BED-LLM deliberately uses the prior likelihood pairing.
Why that work?
Well, they found it works better when the thing you're trying to figure out, the target, let's call it theta, is way more complex than the answers you get, let's call me.
Like 20 questions again.
Yeah.
The target could be any celebrity, huge, complex space, but the answers are just yes or no, simple.
Exactly that kind of situation. The target space is vast, the answer space is simple. This prior likelihood setup helps the LLM better measure uncertainty over those simple answers, which in turn is really important for calculating that EIG accurately, so you get genuinely informative questions.
Got it. So better EIG calculations, smarter belief updating. These innovations sound great on paper. How did BED-LLM actually do when they tested it? You mentioned experiments.
Yeah, they tested it against that entropy baseline, the one using just predictive entropy and a naive QA approach, which is just basic prompting. First big test, 20 questions, identifying animals, celebrities, things, just from yes-no answers. The results were pretty traumatic, astounding, really. For instance, guessing celebrities using Mistral Large. The naive QA got it right maybe 14% of the time. BED-LLM, 91%.
Wow, 14 to 91. That's not just better, that's a different league entirely. Was it like that across the board? Different models, different
They're
targets?
incredibly consistent, yeah. They tried Quinn, GPT-4o, Llama 3.
Right.
Different data sets, too. Animals, things. BED-LLM consistently came out way ahead of both the entropy baseline and the naive QA.
Okay.
And crucially, it still worked well, even if the LLM asking the questions was different from the one answering them.
That's important.
Very important. Because in real life, the answerer is often a human, right? And no LLM perfectly models how a human thinks or responds. That robustness is key.
Okay, so it nails guessing games. What about something more subjective, like preferences?
They tested that too. Active preference, elicitation for movie recommendations. The goal was to figure out a user's abstract persona, their overall taste, by asking multiple choice questions. Then recommend movies.
How did it do there?
Again, clear advantage for BED-LLM. By just the third question, it was already doing better than the baselines. It showed it could handle learning these more abstract targets, deal with fuzzier user answers, and still lead to better recommendations. Works beyond just facts.
So the results really back it up. This EIG-driven, structured approach makes a huge difference for these interactive tasks. That efficiency gain sounds amazing. But, quick thought, is there ever a downside to being too targeted? Could you miss unexpected insights by being so focused?
That's a fair question. And, the paper focuses on scenarios with a pretty clear target. If you were doing something really open-ended, like creative brainstorming, maybe a less direct approach could be good sometimes. Serendipity.
Right.
But for most practical things, diagnostics, customer service, finding specific info, the goal is usually efficiency.
Getting to the answer or solution quickly, that's where BED-LLM shines. It's designed for those goal-oriented tasks where you want precision and don't want to waste the user's time. It optimizes for effectiveness in those cases.
Makes total sense. Focus where the efficiency really pays off. Okay, so let's recap this deep dive. We've seen BED-LLM isn't just another LLM tweak. It fundamentally changes the game, turning LLMs from passive answers into active, smart questioners.
Exactly. By calculating that expected information gained carefully, using that robust sample-then-filter updating, and structuring its internal models smartly, it can zero in on the needed information way more effectively.
Think about your next chat with an AI assistant or customer service or maybe even a diagnostic tool. Instead of going in circles, imagine it guiding you. Precise questions, quick understanding, getting right to the point.
Yeah, this work really shows a path toward AI conversations that feel much more natural, more like genuine collaboration. Less frustrating, definitely.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As these LLMs get really, really good at asking us questions and learning deeply from our answers, does that change anything for us? Do we have new responsibilities as the ones providing the info? Could this shift how we work with AI, maybe pushing us to give better, more thoughtful answers too?